$2 million 12-month campaign is all about linking and combating the relationship between climate and Black health. We already know that these wildfires will leave in their wake even greater inequities, including negative impacts on Black health given the toxic air pollutants circulating in the air we breathe. So, as part of this year's climate campaign, we're honoring Black doctors and leaders in healthcare at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Friday, February 28th at noon. If you would like to join us, just go to our KBLA 1580 website and register for your chance to be our guest at the luncheon. We'd love to see you. And in case you haven't heard the news, KBLA Talk 1580 was just named one of the semifinalists for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
You know, 70s songs, they had to be the right pace for the disco. So you're going to get that extended version. The opening itself is going to be about 2 minutes before they finally kick into the verse. Here we go, Kathy Sledge, I think.
Everyone can see we're together as we walk on by.
Welcome in. You are locked in with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. You are about to get into your entertainment news update on this very rainy Thursday evening here in Los Angeles. And you know, Andy is always on theme. So it is not a mistake that Sister Sledge, the anthem, We Are Family, is playing, because we are going to get into one of the most prominent families in entertainment that, though we give them their flowers, they are finally being honored in a larger setting. And it gives us the opportunity to talk a little bit, not only about what they have contributed to the culture, but about the business and science behind it, because we mentioned this a bit the other night. All of their productions, all of them are staffed with family in various roles, not just in front of the camera. And there's a science to that. That is what we talk about when we speak about generational wealth. So we're going to get into that. We're also, you know, it's Thursday. And so we have a new segment that is coming here. It is called All Up in the Business. In the business. I didn't put enough emphasis on it. We'll get into that. But where we are going to be breaking down the business of entertainment and sports. There's a lot of deals that happen. There's a lot of plays that come into effect. There are a lot of negotiations and things of that nature that go on behind the scenes that people aren't aware of. And we just happen to have, you know, access to an expert. So Damon Haley is here. He's going to be here on Thursdays. So we're going to get into, you know, branding and cultivating an event for All-Star. It is All-Star weekend. It is also Valentine's Day weekend. Happy Valentine's Day to the lovers out there. We also have a topic for that because it's Valentine's Day. And, you know, everybody's bae, Kofi, formerly of Queen Sugar, currently on the new Prime series, well, the new season of Prime, the final season. And, you know, Kofi's character has an interesting approach to relationships, and it is actually one that Kofi himself, they mirror. So we're going to get into the details of that and talk about, you know, why I believe that is okay and why that can save you financially, which is, of course, a business topic in and of itself. But before we do that, you know, I got to start the evening off with some information for you, a couple of conversation starters to let you know what's going on. So tomorrow, Drake and Party Next Door are dropping an album, right? But here's the thing. Drake is currently in a little tiff with his label, right? So technically, he cannot release an album through UMG. So he is selling the new album directly to the fans. No middleman. It is $7.99 on his website if you want to go and partake in this situation. And, you know, part of the speculation was that Drake's new deal was part of what spurred, in his eyes, the change in favor as far as with UMG. So we'll have to see if that comes to pass when the actual suit develops out. But, excuse me, will you be tapping in to the new Drake and Party album? I mean, it's Valentine's Day. It's probably going to have a couple of jams. The music can save you, Drake. Focus on the music. And speaking of, Serena's husband is out there throwing blows at Jason Whitlock, who was criticizing her once again. He had to let him know exactly what a man who peaked in high school, that's what he said, not me, and has failed at everything else, that's what he said, not me, is beefing with Serena. So we're going to get into the details of that on the other side. We're going to get into the Wayans family, all up in the business, all that and more. You are locked into KBLA Talk 1580.
You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, now I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
After you use Bounce Dryer sheets and realize how fresh, soft, less wrinkled, and less staticky your laundry can be, you'll put a sheet on it every time. Like those socks that smell like they've been through a marathon. Put a sheet on it. Or that blanket that's got wrinkles on its wrinkles. Put a sheet on it. Maybe even your chatty coworker who keeps distracting you. Okay, Bounce Dryer sheets can't do it all. But for fresher, softer, better laundry, put a sheet on it with Bounce.
Can your pad absorb everything and stay fresh? Always Radiant with Flex Foam can. Get up to 0 leaks, 0 odor, and 0 feel. Because Flex Foam is the only pad with a flexible foam core. You heard me, foam. Always Radiant is so thin, it feels like nothing, yet protects like nothing else. Can your pad do that? For up to 100% leak-free protection, try Always Radiant to see what Flex Foam can do for you.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back into your entertainment news update with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Now, we mentioned a little bit about Alexis going in on Jason Whitlock. I mean, we know Whitlock is very opinionated. And usually he is on the opposite side of the culture for some, depends on, what you think. And he felt that Serena doing the sea walk, which has been a pop culture dance for about 20 years now as well, was in poor taste. He went in on her and, like a lot of men, called her husband a beta male. And I'm just like, listen, why are we doing that? Again, because certain people are lacking a key piece of information that there was cross, that they did battle for Serena's heart, Drake and Alexis. And Alexis won. But beyond that, Whitlock, please. Andy, you look like you got something to add.
No, I just don't understand why we continue to give this guy, value in what he has to say. He clearly
is a hater. Just use the old school term.
Part of me wanted to call him a plant, but it is what it is. I just don't know why we give him so much value.
I feel that. Well, listen, I'm glad that Alexis put him in his place. And, Serena is a multi-million-dollar industry of herself, a family one, because, her daughter is part owner of, I believe, the soccer franchise that Serena is brought into. So speaking of family businesses, right? It was announced today that the NAACP is putting the Wayans family into the Image Awards Hall of Fame. The awards are taking place next Saturday. They'll air live on BET. And I mean, from In Living Color to White Chicks to Kenan directing Raw to Hello, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. Like, there are so many things that this family has contributed.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
He created
Talk to the mic.
He created the halftime Super Bowl show.
He absolutely did with In Living Color. They, and the next year, what did Fox do? Well, not Fox, whoever it was, they got Michael Jackson, right?
Mm-hmm, they got Michael
After
Jackson.
That. I mean, listen, if not for him, we would not have all the hoopla and the most ever. So I think that it is beyond time that the Wayans family be honored, because how often in entertainment do you see a family, right? We've never seen any scandals within the family, no infighting, right? No complaining about someone taking money, someone taking credit, or any of these other things. And we've seen various iterations. They write. There are some that are comedians. Mm-hmm. There are some that are directing. We've seen offshoots of other shows. We've seen, right now, Papa's House airs on CBS with Damon Wayans Sr. and Jr. in the mix. I believe one of the other sons is a writer on the show and a producer. So there's so many things. Kim Wayans, I was looking at the first season of A Different World on Netflix. Just maybe last weekend. Kim Wayans was on the first season of A Different World as a college student. And we all know the classic characters that she created on In Living Color. So I think that it is high time that they are honored, not only for what they bring to comedy, but the business acumen that they have set forth and laid out. Because it's not as if one of them, also like Kenan, is producing everybody else's stuff because he was the first one on. They all have their own entities. Sean and Marlon went off and created the Scary Movie franchise and then created the cult classic of White Chicks. So I want to know from you, what does it take to build an entity, a family-owned business? Because you know a little something about that.
Right.
Glow and Flow Beauty. Damon Haley here, entrepreneur, strategist, author, all of the things.
Well, shout out to Kenan, because I think that if you talk to, and Marlon has talked about it a lot, and I think Damon has, he was the leader. He was the oldest and had a vision, and he came out from New York, and I forgot which HBCU he went to, but him and Robert Townsend met over one summer in New York, and then both of them came out to L.A. And so first, big bros have a lot to do with it. And so I know we talk a lot about generational wealth, but he created generational intelligence, because he on A Living Color, he brought Sean to be the fake DJ.
Right.
In addition to Kim and Damon and all of those, all the family, even the older brother you see in some of the scenes, giving him a job, basically. And then Marlon, I think he went to Howard and quit and then came out here and was on the show. So I think I've been around Keenan, Damon, Marlon, those three. Not a lot, but a little back in the day. They got love for one another. That's the first thing. They talk about the mother, the father, and they trust one another. They love one another. And like you say, you just mentioned, you never hear no funk around who getting paid what and all that kind of stuff. So I think you got to trust your family. You got to love your family, and you got to be patient, because there was no script. There was no blueprint to what they were doing.
Right.
You know, him and Robert Townsend with the Hollywood Shuffle, and then Keenan started writing for Eddie, and then Damon was doing stand-up, and he came out. There was just no way of figuring it out until they built a great TV show, and then they start building great movies and just start blowing the whole thing up. The Wayans brothers, you know, they came and did that with John Witherspoon, you know, and so. And
then you think about Damon had My Wife and Kids.
There you go. Yep, and actually that's when I met him. Mark Cuban introduced me to him actually, and said, "You need," because I had a project with Mark Cuban. He said, "Hey, you need to talk to this guy. He can get that show #1." And Damon did talk to me. The ABC I think didn't care for me as much as he did, but I think that's what it really takes. And they're just working together. You know, they like I said, the two younger brothers don't seem to be beefing. The two older ones, I think they have a good mix of character. Like you say, you never heard anything about Kim. You just never hear anything but them just doing successful stuff. So I'm glad that we are acknowledging them, because I don't think Hollywood would, because of the way the In Living Color ended, the way the movie, franchise ended in terms of trying to take the movie.
Yeah, Scary Movie. Yeah. I think they said they're getting it back. I would hope so to, revitalize that, because just the fact that they were able to build a franchise like that, it's hard to do.
Yeah. They understood the game collectively, and all of them wrote on that. All of them produced on Scary Movie. So once again, they all had something to contribute. And I think it was Magic Johnson that did a recent thing saying, "Don't hire your family members," or something like that. And I wouldn't necessarily agree with that in all cases, but all four of those guys, as well as the behind-the-scenes family members, contribute mightily to everything, because, there's some babysitting involved, there's some taking care of mom and dad stuff involved, all the stuff that really says they have family, and they moms and pops did something right with that family.
Absolutely. I mean, again, I think there's like 10 or 11 of them total.
Shout out to Ma Wayans and pumping them out,
I mean, and keeping it think. So, by the way, if at any point in this conversation you guys want to get involved, 800-920-1580. Also, the YouTube chat, that's always bustling. Hit us up in there, KBLA 1580. Now,
and let's talk about the business. They collectively have to be worth probably, I would guesstimate, 350 to 400 million. All of them. And that, together. That's significant.
It is. And just the fact that, I mean, we've seen how many deals happen for them to have shows and production value with studios. That's a lot of power within and of itself. Mm-hmm. And they empower a lot of people behind the scenes. So what is something that you would want to see from them as far as a project put out, like family-wise? Would you want to see something with them all in it? Would you want to see something with maybe only a couple in it and the others behind the scenes? I would love a documentary on their family.
Yeah, kind of like, the Temptations or the Jacksons or something like that. You could see a great documentary about them, because just to see how they slept together and all that kind of stuff, and really how they migrated from New York to LA. So I would love to. I don't know if I need to see them acting. I don't think, but it's their minds and their comedic thinking.
So just their backstory and their history.
Yeah, I love to see a documentary, because they are worthy. I'm trying to think, like I said, you got that Temptations thing, or you got that Jacksons thing that we've seen, produced before. But they should be, because they are our Black entertainment family of television and movies. I don't know any family that's more accomplished. And so we get to have that story, and we get to have it. I think that Pops passed away, but we get to have that when they're still alive and can tour and really tell the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't need to see them necessarily on screen. They may have got out of that space, you know.
I think some of them still. Well, they got the TV show, and Marlon's talking about scary movies, so we'll probably see them. But the documentary for sure.
Yep.
All right, let's switch gears. It is NBA All-Star Weekend, right? It's right up the street in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So we talked last weekend about how much money was around Super Bowl and, connecting and what it can do for a small brand. What is the difference now for these type of events? Like, how does one stand out in the sea of events and activations? Because everyone kind of knows the playbook at this point, what's expected when you go to an event. Everybody's trying to do a pop-up. Everybody's going to have a live podcast show of something. Everybody's going to have, a networking thing. Everybody's going to have an honorary, an awards brunch or dinner or something of that type of measure. So how do you stand out and fit in between to make an impact on weekends like this? Is it better to sit out at this point sometimes?
I think Super Bowl, you probably can't sit out because it just means so much, because Super Bowl is a celebration of the NFL season, not a midpoint in the season like All-Star is. Like, I don't see a lot of people from, say, New York coming out to San Francisco unless they absolutely have to. Or from Chicago, Atlanta, etc., to San Francisco. But there's some brands that are going to rise up. Like for me, Adidas is going to rise up. One, they tend to be more cultural than the other performance sports brands. Two, you got Dame Lillard, who's an Oakland dude, and then you have Anthony Edwards, who's kind of their best player coming off the Olympic gold, and he's a talent. He's a personality, a character.
Don't you feel that their commercials with Anthony and the approach that they're taking with him remind you of like old 90s Nike's commercials?
It does. I mean, you're seeing the rawness of him, who he is. I think it's smart. I like to see some other stuff out of him. I was looking at the old Penny commercial from 97 when he just had Tyra Banks answering the door and everybody.
His Super Bowl party.
Yeah, that one. Oh, man. I mean, that's the kind of classic stuff, unfortunately, we don't get now. I think the content play isn't. But I would say in the Bay, yeah, from what I gather, Nike and Jordan are going to advertise because that's what they can do. I mean, they don't have any real athletes that are really dominant right now, so they don't have a lot to build around other than product. And once again, just advertising, having the money to do advertising. I think.
What about Under Armour and Steph Curry?
Well, I was just going to say, what I'd like to see, and if I was, had a voice, I would say this is Steph's last big moment in the Bay. It's not promised. It's not promised that he'll get to a championship. It's not promised that the basketball world will be able to celebrate him collectively like a moment like this weekend. But Under Armour just don't do that kind of stuff. It would be perfect for Steph to have that, but they don't spin like that. They don't have the cultural connection like that. They don't have the cachet, and I'm not sure that Steph alone can lift it. But that would be really, really interesting. I think for the average brand, you just got to go there to network. It's now, if on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you got to decide which 4 things you're going to go to in the morning, afternoon, evening, and late night, because everybody's doing lunches, brunches, gatherings, things like that. I would guess that Michael Rubin at Fanatics, he owns now. Right. He owns that whole athlete thing at this point. The whole
athlete lifestyle aspect.
He does the Hampton party. He
Super
was
out
Bowl.
In Vegas.
He's the guy. So and everybody's following. Unfortunately, the Players Association has really lost the luster. The luster.
That used to be Saturday night. That party used to be everything. You used to have to know somebody really, really well to get into that event.
And so now it's with Michael Rubin. which I don't like to see. I would think that the players would do more.
Do they still have the Jordan? Because you mentioned last week about the Jordan party and the prestige. Do they still have that? And does seating still happen like it used to? Like, because with social media, do they still do like lounge? Seating is where celebrities, athletes, influencers at this point would come to receive product from the brand and get a brand experience. So they would come in and they'd be ideally exposed to the brand in a different light, in a way that they hadn't before, and treated and leave with a nice package of product, depending upon your level, what comes in the package.
Yeah, there's still seatings because, Jordan's going to do a launch of something that Michael Jordan used to wear. Nike's probably going to have a dope Air Force One or something like that. And then new brands into the space as well, because you not only have celebrities and athletes, but now you have this influencer that can get that seating box or that gift box exposure to an array of people. So seating is in and of itself its own animal, so to speak.
So when we come forward, we're going to get more into that. We're going to get into also how the influencer has changed the brand experience for brands looking to target people, and how that has changed events and that structure. And of course, more trending topics and headlines. And I think we're going to talk about the city of Oakland as well.
Got to.
All of that and more on the other side. You are locked into KBLA Talk 1580 with Jill Munroe. And news, traffic, and sports. That's what's on the other side.
Living life is fun, and we've just begun to get our share of this world's delight. High hopes we have for the future and our goals in sight. We know we don't get depressed. Here's what we call our golden rule.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Trump is planning an executive order on D.C. crime and homelessness, pushing tougher gun crime penalties and clearing homeless camps. Black Mayor Muriel Bowser says she's unaware of details but has discussed crime prosecution with the administration. Wall Street is closing with stocks higher. Stocks went higher after President Trump ordered reciprocal tariffs on all trading partners. Trump also suggested that more tariffs are on the way, including ones on auto imports. Danielle Sassoon, the lead prosecutor in Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams' corruption case, has resigned instead of dropping charges. She did not mention the case in her resignation letter. And New York City leaders, including Brad Lander and Al Sharpton, are pushing back against President Trump's move to curb DEI efforts. Lander says companies like Walmart and Amazon are already rolling back diversity programs despite proof they boost performance. I'm Amber Payton on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
More problems with a lot of water collecting along the roadways. This is affecting travel on the 10 freeway. This is right around Baldwin Park Boulevard, according to the Highway Patrol. Also in that same area, the North 605 to the 10 East connector. Also just holding on to a lot of water, especially in the right lane of that transition. Also, as you travel along the 605 freeway, northbound slowing, loading up out of Seal Beach from the 405. Then you're on the brakes ahead all the way to the 210 freeway. Southbound slowing, also loading up through that entire same stretch.
If you or someone you know is affected by the Los Angeles wildfires, you are not alone. No matter how sad, scared, or heartbroken you feel, Cal Hope is here for you and all those affected by the devastating wildfires. Find free, safe, and confidential mental health support at calhope.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The capital of women's college basketball is in Los Angeles tonight. 2 of the nation's top 10 programs are right here in our city, and they're meeting up tonight at a sold-out Galen Center. Undefeated UCLA, number 1 in the country since late November, faces number 6 USC in a game that is certain to attract huge interest nationwide. This is the first time UCLA and USC are playing each other as members of the Big Ten Conference. In their first year in the Big Ten, Both teams have been dominant with a combined 22-1 record in the conference. UCLA is 11-0 in the Big Ten. Interesting game for USC sophomore Juju Watkins, the All-American from Compton. Watkins is shooting only 31% in the last 4 games, including just 16% on three-pointers. USC Nation hopes Watkins kicks her slump to the curb tonight. 7 p.m. tip-off for the showdown. Live TV coverage on the Peacock channel. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader. KBLA Talk 1580. Follow the leader.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
February is African American and Black History Month, and LA County Library is celebrating the voices and achievements of African Americans throughout the month. Join us for art workshops, family story times, and more. Revisit classic literature from African American authors and discover new favorites. It's a month of learning and fun for library lovers of all ages. Find out more at www.lacountylibrary.org and celebrate Black History Month at LA County Library.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hammer at?
Welcome in. You are locked in to KBLA Talk 1580. And listen, Andy is always on theme. And let me explain to you, connect the dots of this theme for you. So we're talking about Oakland, NBA All-Stars up there this weekend. And this group right here, the Pointer Sisters, Oakland's finest. They're from Oakland, California.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of Bay Area natives. We're going to be talking a little bit about one of them later, too. One of them, his stuff is being auctioned off over the weekend. Some legendary stuff that some people might want to get their hands on. Trail Hill's finest. Orenthal James Simpson. Yeah. So there is. He's from the Bay. He's from the Bay. He's from Oakland. Andy?
Speaking of the Bay.
Yes.
Super Bowl's next year, right? In the Bay?
Is it in the Bay again next year?
I saw reports that it's going to be in the Bay. I could be wrong.
I know it comes back here, and I think 28, and All-Star is here next year.
Well, you already know there's a lot of talk about, who's going to be performing if it's going to be in the Bay. So everybody's tapping into E40 and Too Short. If they don't perform, it's going to be a problem.
Here is the problem. For whatever reason, the stars aligned in 22 for Dre, Snoop, Mary, M, 50, Kendrick, to perform. And now everybody thinks that it should be the performers should perform in their hometown. It was never that before. This doesn't necessarily happen. Let's stop that.
It's officially in the Bay.
It is in the
San
Bay?
Francisco, Santa Clara to be exact.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
No,
when it first opened. When it first opened, right?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Well, let me give a shout out. Let me give one. I call the Bay Area my home for 10 plus years. And so I still ride, of course, my honey, DV. She's an Oakland girl.
That's right.
But the sad thing about Oakland, and I started thinking about this week, is Oakland isn't a sports town no more. So we talked about the economic impact of sports. The A's are gone. They're soon going to Vegas. They were strong. They did a three-peat with the World Series in the 70s, competitive team in the 80s. Brad Pitt played that Moneyball thing in the movie.
Right.
The Raiders, we all know the Raiders. They won 3 Super Bowls, 2 there, 1 here. But they meant a lot to the city. And then obviously the Warriors. The Warriors, the current Warriors won 3 championships in Oakland. They did 1 in San Francisco. But before that, the Warriors had won a championship too. Black coach, second black coach to Bill Russell, Al Attles, won an NBA championship. And if you think about what sports does for a community, the jobs, be it parking, concessions, contractor, security, hosts, all that kind of stuff, I just feel bad that all of that has 2 of the 3 teams have gone to Vegas, and then the Warriors have gone to San Francisco. And even this year, most of the NBA All-Star Weekend is in San Francisco.
It's in the city this time.
It's in the city, yeah. They're doing the celebrity game in Oakland Arena, and they're doing an HBCU game in the Oakland Arena. But all of the rising stars and all the NBA will be in San Francisco. So shout out to Oakland for just hanging tough during tough times of losing all the sports teams within the last 3-4 years, and condolences for all of those that really love sports and had those side jobs and had those contracts and stuff.
Do you think that this is why people are against taxpayer funds for new stadiums and so forth? Because if the team leaves, if they pick up and move, in theory, then what happens? People are displaced with these new arenas and so forth, even though they bring jobs, they change the character of the neighborhoods. And then if something like, obviously, Oakland or the Oracle was their home for many, many years, but still now, like you said, in quick succession, now it's nothing.
Yeah, you think when the Raiders came back from L.A. to Oakland, the taxpayers paid for that. And it's still TBD if they got a return on that. I'm sure there are no financial projections or optics on, when does it pay off? We all know when we pay off our cars or pay off our house, but who knows when you pay off a tax or bond bill or something like that. So I think you're 1,000% right that we just don't know. And it shouldn't be taxpayers per se. It shouldn't be. It should be those owners. Equity. It should be the owners and all that, because oftentimes they own or manipulate the arena.
DJ Black 909 says Raiders, Athletics, and Warriors were stolen from Oakland. And he also added, Oakland still has the Ballers, baseball, and Roots soccer. But if those are not major franchises, how much support are they getting from the community? And yeah, the community has to rally, but it's a two-part thing. If the sponsorship's not there for the team, then the experience might not be on par with what we are used to as fans, and how patient are fans going to be for you to pick up the pace if, it's things like that. It's a delicate balance because it is a business.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have those big team sports to really drive it. And so if you look at a small city like Vegas, didn't have it. And gambling,
now Vegas is a sports town.
Now Vegas is a sports town, along with the gambling. I mean, that's going to make people go there. That's going to make people, it's easy to recruit people there. They're going to become a great business city and a great sports town in addition to just the gambling.
Shout out to the NHL and the WNBA, though, because they're the ones that put down roots and really, well, obviously UNLV, but made it so that a professional team could come in there and, pack it out the house as far as sales and stuff like that. And both of those teams, I believe the Golden Knights won a title.
Yeah, they did.
Okay,
yep.
So both of those teams set the standard early on coming in. So
yeah, I think it's, like I said, just from a guy who passed by that sports complex for at least 4 years and just seeing it and passing by there on the BART, I just hate to see it go. And I'll just say one other thing. When you have sports towns like that or sports figures, it does help us as a community, because who is the one getting these titles?
Boots on the ground,
Well, who's the so the Warriors have won 4 titles, the A's have won 4, the Raiders have won 3, etc. Okay, there's people that look like us that people now have an affinity to. You take the Raiders, first black coach.
Right.
Female executive, those types of things. So without that, you're not seeing on the news somebody putting it down for the city and trusting your coworker.
When we come forward, we're going to get more. I want to revisit the influencer question about as far as brand experience and in events like this. And we're going to get into Kofi's comments on monogamy. All of that and more on the other side. You are locked in with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ride with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone, and should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
February is Black History Month, a time to celebrate the achievements and resilience of black communities. But it's important to address health disparities in diseases like asthma. In the U.S., black Americans are approximately 5 times more likely than white Americans to be hospitalized for asthma. But there's hope. Managing your asthma is possible with regular checkups, using prescribed medications correctly, avoiding asthma triggers, and creating an action plan with your healthcare professional. Take control. Your health is your power. To learn more about asthma, visit luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in to Jill Munroe's Entertainment News Update. You are locked in with me on KBLA Talk 1580. I am joined by Damon Haley, entrepreneur, business strategist, all the things. All the things. So I wanted to ask you, because we've been talking a bit about branding and events, how has influencers sort of made this process different? I think that celebrity is looked at differently now. Influencers are the new celebrity, especially when you think about grassroots and the younger generation. So as far as building out an event or brand perspectives or going into all of that, how have you seen the change take place as the targets have changed? Because there was always tastemakers that would be invited, but but influencers seems to be a very different road. And this is kind of a side. I've been reading that tastemakers are making their way back because people are tired of being sold to.
Yeah, I agree. Tastemakers are making their way back, from what I hear from advertisers and brand managers and CMOs and all that kind of stuff. So a celebrity's just off the chart. We know who a celebrity is. And those celebrities, less is more with them. With influencers, they're constantly out there, because they can be on social media. They pop up. Like, if I'm an influencer, I was in New Orleans last week. I'm going to be in LA for award season. I'm going to be in the Bay Area because I just want to be seen. I want to be in the party, et cetera, et cetera. I'm trying to build up my following. I want to get 5 million followers so that I can get 10% to do what I say do, or at least endorse what I endorse. I mean, Fashion Nova is a perfect example. They don't have anybody that we know, but they have everybody that we know on social media. So that part has really changed the game and has really changed advertising, because now I don't have to advertise, say, for the Super Bowl, or I don't have to run in prime time or anything like that. I can just have somebody endorse my product that can influence others, thus the influencer. And so there's more of that. It's really siloed based on whatever your brand messaging is, whatever your product is. And it actually is more effective because we mostly take recommendations from other people. At the end of the day, we take recommendations from other people. So if we trust that influencer, we're going to try what they tell us to try.
Do you think that it is hard matching up the right influencer now, though? Because everyone is an influencer.
I think so. I mean, I think that, like anything, there's zero barriers to entry to, quote unquote, try to be an influencer. But there's ones that are sophisticated. There's tons of analytics you can do in terms of engagement and all that kind of stuff. But the ones that know how to control their brand and their messaging and don't take all the money are the ones that we eventually are going to trust. I think that, at least, like, say, in the beauty industry that I'm a part of, it's really about those that can educate versus those that are just pretty.
That are just there.
Because we used to invest in pretty girls. And then I saw the numbers drop. I need to invest in women that know how to teach others how to be beautiful. That's different. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, fleshy backsides are great. All that stuff, BBL and all that stuff is great, but really not for like most audiences. How are you making me better?
Right.
I think that's where the new influencer is. So if you know how to do something distinctive, that's of a great influence, because then they're going to say he or she knows what they're talking about, and we're going to follow that, versus somebody with just like the guys with the 6-pack abs and look good.
I'm just cute. I'm just outside. It's only my third day out here.
That was working 2 years ago, but in 2025, it's not working
anymore.
It's just not working.
Well, speaking of looks good and, talks, we're going to get into a little grown and sexy talk a little bit. Kofi Siriboe, he's an actor. He got really real in discussing love and relationships. And since it's the day before Valentine's Day, and of course we're talking about getting all up in the business of money in sports, we know that one of the biggest areas where people go wrong and mismanage their business has to do with decisions that they make in their relationships and their love life. It can impact the circle you surround yourself with, the mood, how you move with your money because you're afraid someone might get into it, all of these things, right? So in a recent interview, Kofi shared that he is ethically non-monogamous. And this is on par with his character that is on the Prime Video series Harlem. He ends up involved with one of the lead characters, and they come to a crossroads because of this. And check it out. All 6 episodes are available to stream. But let's hear what Kofi had to say, because, of course, some people are upset about this, but I think that it is a smart approach if you are honest and everybody is on the same page. Keyword, honest. Don't go be non-monogamously ethically with someone who wants to be monogamous. But let's hear it, Andy.
I mean, my first 2 real relationships lasted 3, 4, 5 years each, so then, and then to fast forward, my life changed, so there was a different, I started working every day. Then there's the fame element and the abundance of people and exposure. And, I've just had different shifts and different seasons where it seems like sometimes monogamy feels like role playing, and it sometimes feels restrictive, so there's an element of it that feels performative. And I understand the tradition of it. I understand the deeper, I understand that, but then there's a part of me that just had questions. So I went through some phases where I'm like, well, why do we do it like this? And is this how I want to do it? And from observing people who play those roles, my parents included, I see some blind spots. You know what I'm saying? Does that mean we have to throw away the whole system? Not necessarily. I honor the tradition and I love the simplicity of monogamy. And how can we still remain whole and still remain true to ourselves as individuals, as independent people and thinkers living this life while still honoring the safety and the principle and the tradition of, loyalty or connection. So it just has you thinking about what you want, and what works for you. And I think that's the real goal, is whatever you do, just do it wholeheartedly. And that's what I respect about Seth, is that he was 10 toes about.
So the rest of that was about his character. I know I forgot. I know it's only a little bit. But Damon, as someone that is been married for 20 years now?
50.
How many?
15.
15. Okay. Wow. That time moved fast. And you guys are also business partners. Do you understand someone maybe being hesitant about, monogamy, and is it okay to be open with that? And can you see how it can hinder your business because of tricky situations with significant others?
Yeah, I respect his honesty. It's a guy who says, he's changing his life. He's making some money, some fame. He's probably getting a lot of women interested in him.
He's 30, maybe, I think.
I mean, I haven't, and I've been around celebrities, athletes, global icons, and I know it's very challenging. Women make it very challenging for people to be faithful if they married or in a relationship and all that kind of stuff. I've never had to face that, I haven't had it like that, as much as I may have wanted it like that. I didn't have it like that. But I think at the end of the day, you have to have, whatever it is trust, honesty, and loyalty. And so if you have those things, it's cool. Now, if we know that there's a lot of people who are married, have open marriages. And so if that's what you do, that's great. That's how you are. You want to do that. Now, it does make it tough. It is harder for me and Diane to be in business and in a marriage. It's a lot of time together. It's a lot of talking about the lines get blurred between housework and business and all of that. And we both shut down a lot on that. Like times I don't want to do it. So that makes it tough. But it is also a hard conversation to say, hey, I'm about to go out and go with this other chick. That's not even talking about just being in business. That's just a hard one immediately. But if your lives are really integrated like that and you feel that way, you got to be in it 100% or out of it. And so this is a guy that probably, like I said, he can have as many women as he probably wants, and he'll exercise it until you meet that one person that you want to spend most of your time with. And he hasn't met that person.
And I feel like my whole thing is transparency.
Yep.
As long as you're transparent with people, some people are going to rock with it, some people aren't. Well,
I was surprised, too, he brought his parents into it.
I was, too.
That's a tough one.
Here's the thing. Kofi actually grew up across the street from me. I know his parents. I know his family well. He and my daughter were good friends. So I do understand some things about that conversation. But, shout out to him for knowing himself and figuring that out. Because, this business is tough and we've seen a lot of things.
And I would say in my younger days, I've always been honest with women. I've always been honest with women because
you're one of the few. Look, I'm just saying he's one of. I'm not saying Andy. I'm sure you are. I know you are too. It's a lot of honesty.
But it puts the onus on them.
It does.
Do
not mess with my reality. I am 100% about that. Allow me to make the choice. Don't make the choice for me with faulty information. Listen, as always, we are so great that you, so grateful that you would join us and get in on all of this business stuff. We will have more conversations, more things next week. Damon, tell them where they can find you on social media.
Oh, I'm simple. I'm just Damon Haley, DamonHaley. Just check me out on Instagram or on my website if you want to email me. I'm there. Just or Google me. You can find me. I ain't hiding from nobody.
All of that. Well, thank you guys for locking in. I hope that you got a little bit of knowledge out of this conversation, and make sure you are tapped in every Monday through Friday for more entertainment news update with me, Jill Munroe. Up next, it is the voice of reason, about to hit you in the head with all of that great knowledge for the evening. Zoe Williams, thank you for locking in with me. Stay dry out there if you are tapping in outside. I appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. The FCC is investigating Comcast over NBC Universal's DEI policy.